Good evening everyone and welcome to TTML Division 5. We are here for the Season 2 Round 1 season opener essentially, and we are here of course at the Bahrain Grand Prix at the Sakhir International Circuit. My name is James Hay, going to be taking you through the stream as your lead commentator and head commentator in TTML. That has a really nice ring to it, I've got to be honest. And joining me in the commentary box, of course, you can hear him laughing there in the background. It is Mr. Daniel Hoggard, and Dan, it is the season opener here in Division 5. What can we expect?
Oh, well, it's going to be very unpredictable, that's for sure, of course. A brand new roster of drivers, a lot of them carrying over from last season, but of course, a lot of new faces as well to take on this Bahrain International Circuit here tonight. So I think what you can expect is a lot of intrigue. As I mentioned earlier, should be pretty unpredictable, seeing how some of the new drivers stack up to some of the returning faces. So it's going to be great to watch, and I think more than anything we can expect for a great race and a great season to look forward to. Can't wait to get it started.
It's going to be fantastic, and if Division 5 is anything to go by from what's happened during the week in Division 1 and 2, then you are in for an absolute treat here tonight. Let me run you through then. The graphics won't appear, of course, because Tom is not with us in the background, but we will carry forward to the driver lineup. And there are a few changes that we have to address first, because all of the reserves here in Division 5 are racing tonight. So in the Mercedes, normally it's Maze and Rock City, but replacing Rock City is Sapmi King. So Sapmi King replaces Rock City here tonight. Then in the Ferrari, it is Shumi and Nellis normally, but you can see Caller Damon and Bart, two reserves as well in the Ferrari. The only other change in terms of the reserves comes in the Red Bull, and that is Zero being replaced out by Josh Roos, who I'm highlighted at the top of the lobby. He's alongside Jeffrey tonight. Jeffrey, a regular pairing alongside Zero, of course, in Red Bull. McLaren with Nelson and Invictus carrying over, hopefully with some good form. Jibby Storm and Silas in the Racing Point. We've got NSR Storm and Day Miles in the Alfa Romeo. In the Renault, it is Passels and James. Not sure if James is going to be turning up here tonight, but we should expect him here anyways. Sev the Blessed and Hulkenberg in the Haas. In the AlphaTauri, it is Torenheim and Stian Rambo. And then in the Williams, it is Schmidtsky and Freak Vronk. Great name to pronounce in commentary. Hopefully I'm not going to be saying that 10 times over during tonight. But looking at that driver lineup, you say most of the guys have been carried forward. I've got to be honest, this is looking like a relatively competitive grid, because it's the same as what I said in Division 2 at the start of the stream. There's no one person who you immediately think, well, he's going to absolutely walk away with it. It is going to be that competitive, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that front. Of course, we're yet to see how these guys actually fare on track, because we have now a slightly revamped grid. You're going to be seeing a different dynamic being thrown up, and the order could really be shaken up. We could see some contenders start to form in the early rounds, but yeah, I completely agree. Should be so competitive to watch, especially, of course, from what we've seen throughout the week in the other divisions. So I'm really looking forward to this one, seeing how all the drivers shape up, compare, get into it. But we're going to start off with Bahrain, of course, tonight, which will be our first kind of gauge of where everyone stands. Bahrain, a rather different track to some others, I'd say. It's one that maybe it's not to everyone's taste. I certainly don't exactly love to drive it, but in terms of just the sheer racing it usually provides, particularly through the first sector of the lap, it always puts up good racing, and that's certainly what I'm expecting tonight.
Yeah, and have a look then at the track map in question. You guys won't see this, but I'm going to tell you guys anyways. A lap distance of 5.4 kilometres in length, 156.9 kilometres race distance as well, 29 laps await the drivers along, of course, with that 18-minute qualifying session, where we will really see the men separated from the boys perhaps within qualifying. It's going to be fascinating to see. We are just 10 seconds away from getting in, and coming into tonight, it's going to be an absolute fantastic race. I've just learnt as well, just keeping an eye on Division 4. I don't think Division 4 is currently live just yet. Graham Chappell is having connection issues. So if you're tuning in, expecting Division 4, Graham Chappell is having connection issues currently. Hopefully they're fixed within the next couple of minutes or so, and then they can get underway in Division 4. But we're about to get underway here in Division 5, and it's going to be a fascinating night of action.
Oh yes, certainly. Of course, what we're seeing, of course, as well, we don't have, of course, our full, full-time driver list here. We do have a few reserves popping up, but we'll see if throughout the season they can also get more of their spotlight. So just because they're reserves, we'll keep an eye out and see how they compare and progress versus everyone else out there. We're now just loading in the anticipation builds, I'm sure, for all of you in the stream chat, and particularly for us as well, as we gear towards the first race of the season here at Bahrain. Let's get it underway. Night race, of course, completely dry as you'd expect, and we can get racing then. 19 drivers, 80 minutes of qualifying. Who's going to grab that all-important pole position?
Let's have a look then and see who was going to really take it from the scruff of the neck then in qualifying. I'd better get up the spectator menu in case people are going to go mad at me in the comment section, which some of them normally do. Having a look though in that comment section, everyone really seeming like they're ready for the season. And Freak Ronk Schmidt saying, James, honoured to be commentating from you. Wow, absolutely amazing. And Freak Ronk as well, another season with amazing commentary. It's time. Good luck, everyone. And it is indeed time. Stian Rambo is the first out on track here tonight in the AlphaTauri, and his teammate Torenheim is in behind. And Torenheim, actually, let's take a particular focus on him because he was quite consistent last season, towards the end especially. He has the pace to possibly set a pole position lap time. How do you think he'll get on?
He's certainly going to be one to watch. We did see, of course, him being a regular fixture in the field and right in the mix, of course, last season. Now, of course, it's a new challenge. We've got some of the top drivers from last season, you know, the likes of, you know, Tekken, Maximus. They're not here now. So we're going to see now, potentially, some of the other drivers that were in the mix, the likes of Jeffrey Mays, potentially as well, could really start to step up to the plate here and try and fare against the new drivers. That's what we love about a new season. So many interesting dynamics to form ahead of us as we get into it then. But now we're going to focus on our race here at Bahrain. We'll get it underway very, very shortly. I am sure, of course, first car out on track is Stian Rambo, a driver that I don't think either of us are particularly familiar with, so we'll see how he gets on now in the AlphaTauri, gearing up for the first flying lap of the new season.
Yeah, I believe Stian Rambo actually might have been a Division 5 reserve last season, but was never used because everybody turned up. So now Stian Rambo now going the final corner towards the line, and he will start us off. In excess of 210 mile an hour perhaps. It looks to me though he might be running a bit of a default setup because he's not carrying as much speed down the straight as what you would imagine. Breaking up the 100 metre board, turning nicely in towards turn 1, and now through turns 2 and 3 under the bright night lights here at Sakia. And now we run up towards turn 4. Of course, remember, back in the day in 2004, when the first race was actually held here, they used to go all the way around pretty much through the desert. We don't do that now. We go through the right-hander, coming through the middle, the first sector split, 27.8 from Stian Rambo through the first sector, and not looking like a bad lap so far. As he now comes in towards turn 8, the scene of Cowboy Spin last night in Division 2. Hopefully we're not going to be seeing any of that ever again. But Stian Rambo now through turns 9 and 10 at the double left, and then opens up the second DRS zone out on track. 3 DRS zones, remember, one also down the start finish straight, one up towards turn 4, one down towards turn 11, and this is the one down in towards turn 11 which Stian Rambo takes. And now through turn 12, seen so many drivers catch the curve on the inside. Stian Rambo stays well clear with a 105 flat. Coming through the middle sector, that is a Williams, I think, to the right-hand side of him. It's Hulkenberg, in fact, in the Haas. That comes to show my eyesight already, as Stian Rambo now runs down towards turns 14 and 15 out on track. Looking very nice. We've also got his teammate Torenheim on a lap just in behind him, but Stian Rambo now to the line. He's going to set a 126 early on. We're interested to see, though, how Torenheim is getting on, and he comes to the line now. And he goes behind him, which is quite shocking. But Stian Rambo out on top. Just seen anybody else that is on a lap as well. Bart out of the final corners. Now on the run down towards turn 14. He is one of the reserves here tonight, and he's part of CRC, remember, Competitive Racing Club on Project Cars 2. So he's really trying to enable himself to come on from one game into the other. Let's see how Bart's going to do towards the line. He goes 4th, 27 flat there or thereabouts. Jippy Storm in the first sector. Not really anybody on a lap. Invictus on a lap coming towards the line now. He'll go behind Bart, I think. No, just ahead of Bart. But Stian Rambo so far out on top.
Yeah, very, very impressive early on then. 3/10 clear as well. Very handy margin, but we'll see, of course, how the rest of the drivers are able to shape up and compare. NSR Storm behind is invalidated on a lap though in the mediums, so he will have to try and go again as reset the ERS and will be heading. Serve the Blessed is next up to the line, goes just in behind Smetsky there, 129.3. Hopefully we'll try and improve. Freak Brock now goes through, just backing up his teammate there, Jeffrey, who we didn't see much at the end of last season, but the Red Bull driver showing that he's not to be forgotten. A 128 flat is the fastest time on the medium tyres so far. Interestingly, a lot of drivers actually going for the mediums on this opening run, just about as many as are on the soft. So we'll see how that will unfold and the strategies that we're going to see ahead of the race.
Yeah, medium compound tyres just in turn. Jeffrey quicker so far. Schmitzy going up there into 7th. Javroos across the line. Phil's right in between the medium runners, actually 28.4 on his lap. Just seeing how Jibby Storm's getting on towards the line. He goes 10th, 28.8. But quite interesting, actually. Most of the Division 5 drivers so far that I'm right on board with are going for that medium compound of tyre. And it is quite a high tyre wearing circuit around here in Bahrain. I think I said it in commentary last night. It's something like 5% a lap on a set of soft compound of tyres. It's 4% really on a set of mediums, which you see NSR Storm is on. And there's a spinner through turn 4, I think that is.
Yeah, turn 4. I'm just searching for the driver right now. I think that
Nilsson.
was in fact, that was indeed Nilsson. So we'll see now if he can try and pick that back up on the McLaren. Of course, dropping back, but it was on an end lap, so it's not huge for the McLaren. In the meantime, his teammate Invictus did go to the top of the timesheet, so 126.4, the first driver to top the mark of Stay Rambo. Of course, Invictus was a driver that did show pace through last season, but also I'd say quite a bit of inconsistency. So we're seeing now, if he could really make an impression now, top of the timesheets by 10.5, not bad for Invictus, about 6.5 minutes in. We'll see if he hold on to it. D Miles now improving.
Yeah, Day Miles going third. Just caught the end of his lap there, 26.7. And Day Miles really attributed himself well in the second half of last season. Was setting really good lap times in qualifying. Unfortunately, however, his AI card did most of the work during the races. But hopefully he's here tonight in human form. And it's been proven there in human form by him going third with a 26.7. Caller Damon has just started off on a lap. And Freak Ronk has crashed through turn 7.
I think he might have caught the curbs on either the inside or the outside. They're very deadly at that corner.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that may have just caught out Freak Frank there. Had a decent lap on those mediums, but yeah, that's going to be hugely unfortunate for the Williams, as I think that was Zhmetsky actually that just improved. He is now the fastest of the medium runners on a 28 flat, so the Williams driver, I believe new to this league, also starting to make an impression there, just about half a tenth quicker than a very established driver, Jeffrey, who was at one point fighting for second in the championship last season, so not bad at all from Zhmetsky, and he's another driver to watch out for then. Early times in the mediums, at the moment the Williams is the fastest.
Yeah, Schmitsky fastest, and he's only actually a second off Bart, who's on a set of soft compound tyres. Now, the time comparison around here in Bahrain is something like 1.2, 1.3 seconds from a set of mediums to a set of soft compound tyres. I think it's something like 2 seconds from a set of hards to a set of softs. So, with that being said, Schmitsky should surely be towards the top end of the 27s, if not the high 126s, I think. Out on track could be on the cards for him. Crawler Damon is on a lap as well. He's coming through the final corner on a set of soft compound of tyres. 105.4 through the middle sector is not too bad. He's going to be there or thereabouts in terms of Bart, I think, comes across the line. Oh, beautiful prediction by me. He goes 6th, right in the mix. 26.9. It's very rare that I get something right at least. Sardas is down on a lap. 7/10 down on a lap time. Just trying to see who that Williams is coming around the final corner. I think it's Schmitsky coming in for an in-lap. But we have got Mays, I do believe, on a lap. And Sappy King, who's just invalidated, coming through the middle sector. 105.1 it was through the middle sector. But let's catch on board with Mays. Purple in the first, 27.9. And Mays likes to put a good lap time in here in qualifying.
We'll see now if the Mercedes driver can get things done. Now into the very tricky braking zone of turn 9 and 10. Get that hooked up nicely on the inside and floor the throttle on the exit. Now up to the gears towards turn 11 there, the left-hander there. You're going to see drivers using quite a lot of the track on the entry here to really open it up and then get on the power as early as you can then into turn 12. Do not touch the curb on the inside, it will send you spinning. Now, to the second sector, he's in the 104s. This is very, very quick from TTG Maze. Can he keep it up to the last sector now? Heading down towards turn 14. He's going to ease it towards the curb on the left-hand side. Now onto the race again, third gear. Plants the throttle on the exit then. And the Mercedes top time at the moment, 126.4. And Maze just misses out by 100th of a second. TTG Maze achingly close. Invictus holds on to it though, 8 minutes to go, but we're seeing the times really stacking up. It's very close at the top there. Invictus just about hanging on, but Maze is up there as well. Very competitive grid from what we're seeing.
1300ths of a second separating Invictus and Maze at the top end of the standings. Just trying to run on board with this AlphaTauri who is coming through the middle sector. Stian Rambo, he's 500ths up. So Stian Rambo 500ths up, looking very smooth, I've got to say, coming through the middle sector there. And he runs down with very low fuel down in towards the final two corners. It turns 14 and 15. He's got a Haas behind him out on track, which will be... Just trying to see who the other Haas is. Serve the Blessed further down, but Stian Rambo goes quickest. 26.3, found 0.2 of a second. It is a yellow flag in the middle sector. Just out of the final sector, I think that was Bart having a bit of a spin. The other AlphaTauri, though, of Torenheim is through the final corner, but he's on a set of mediums, and I think he's going to relinquish into the pit lane. And not really anybody else on a lap, I don't think. Jeffrey, round the final corner, has got a very good lap in him, and it looks like he's going to go quickest, if I've got to be honest. Jeffrey to the line, 25.8. That is like it from Jeffrey, and that is more like it in terms of the qualifying times as well. 25.8. Jeffrey has just put his hat in to ring as a leading contender tonight, I think.
I think I was actually looking at him as potentially being a leading contender, and I think that has just confirmed it there. Huge lap. I think we have to Chartreuse in the Red Bull. Marginal improvement. Actually, it was a fairly sizable improvement, but only moved up one position. Was that Jimmy Storm as well going second, getting into the mix as well?
Jimmy Storm going second, 26.2, 0.4 off though on the back of Jeffrey, and he really needs to try and up his game, I think, to try and catch lap time out on track. We've got a Mercedes out on a lap, which is Sappi King, just trying to ride on board with who'll be next across the line. I think it'll be Jack Roos, possibly, the German. 10th up through the first sector. I think he invalidated on his last lap with 6 minutes to go. 2/3 of qualifying done. Jeffrey on top, Jimmy Storm second, Stian Rambo third, and Jack Roos, goodness me, he nearly went into the oil fields.
Yeah, you've got to be very, very cautious of that there. Again, running a bit wide there. He's got to try and watch those brakes, really start to get the car onto him and try and maybe get up to his teammate. Now, if you look at the times in front of Jeff Roos, it is very, very close. So a lot of positions can be gained from marginal improvements. We'll see, of course, where the Red Bull stacks off of Jeff Roos. There is 2/10 up at the moment, putting him around about the Nilsson Collins. Even here, he runs wide and just invalidates on the exit there of turn 13. So he's going to back out of that one. Red Bull unable to improve. We'll see there if Jack Roos can try and get further along. Then we'll try and pick up any other drivers near the end of the lap. I think Schmitzky maybe the next driver up then, and the Williams plants it on exit, runs a little bit wide, just about keeps it on. Then where does he go in the grand scheme of things? 12th at the moment, now goes 6th, just behind Maze by 14 thousandths of a second. It's very, very tight there. Schmitzky also into the mix now, was a leading medium runner, now one of the top soft runners, as that region especially from 4th really from 2nd through to 6th is very, very tight. Just about 2/10 of a second covering those 4 drivers. They're very tight up there, and we'll see more drivers can jump into the mix, try and get into that battle as well.
Invictus, by the way, went 3rd in the McLaren. He went ahead of Stian Rambo by 0.04 of a second on that lap. We see a lap time being set there, and I'm not sure who that was jumping up into time. Sappi King, who went 13th, just literally clicked on board, and actually fastest of the medium runners. So Sappi King clearly got a good lap within him on a set of soft compound of tyres, 27.7 for him out on track. Hulkenberg coming through turn 1. Just seeing who the McLaren is coming through the middle sector. I think that might be Invictus yellow flags coming through all of these sectors actually for that car. So let's just see what is going on. And has he got a puncture?
I'm going to check. Wait, hold on. Let's look at the exterior cameras. I think he might. It doesn't. I'm trying to pick it up on the visuals. I don't think he visually has a puncture, but the way his car's behaving certainly looks like it. That's very odd. Invictus should be able to get back to the pit lane in a McLaren and get it sorted out. What's happened, James?
Look at how the marbles are actually getting kicked off the tyres as well. That indicates to me that tyre is degrading, I think. But I'm not sure. Answers on a postcard, please, if you've ever seen that one before. Invictus then into the pit lane, and his McLaren team are there to serve him up. We've got Nilsson around the final corner on a lap. I think he's going to set another lap here, 134.7. Probably trying to get a little bit of a race run in. Torenheim 900s up through the middle sector. 3 minutes to go. There's still quite a few drivers out on track. They've really got to get a move on, unless they've just came out the pit lane.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Of course, we will see potentially drivers going about earlier because they've fueled for 2 runs. Hulkenberg goes up into 12th place there, 1:27 flat. But yeah, I think drivers maybe, because the kind of time of the session lines up for it, potentially these drivers are going out a bit earlier, maybe going out for 2 runs. But yeah, some of these guys will have to start getting a move on there. Some of the people out there on in-laps potentially, they're going to have to try and shift it. Get back into the pits, get back out of the pit lane with fresh tyres, and make sure you get a final lap in, because it's going to be so important with the way the track evolves here at Bahrain.
Yeah, Passos, I think, is on a lap. He's a 10th down through the middle sector. Good evening, everyone, to everyone that is tuning in and expecting Division 4. Sadly, Graham Chappell is having connection issues. It might be put up on Joe Corboy's channel if you want to try and get that up, but if you're more than comfortable sitting here and watching us commentate on Division 5, then you're more than welcome to join us here. And I know Division 4 is going to be a big miss, but Graham and Corboy will do their best. I'm sure they're either recording it now or they'll put it up later on the channel. Just trying to see Bart going 8th position there with a 26.6. I've got to be honest, Bart, I remember him. He debuted in TTL F2 back in the day, and he was a reserve in that for the most part, but honestly, he's grown in terms of the pace around this game. He's got used to the game and been in 8th position, and he's only 8/10 off Jeffrey, but Jeffrey is still 4/10 ahead of Jibby Storm.
You think the grid is, for the most part, remarkably close, but it's still Jeffrey in a world of his own. What's happened, Jibs?
Maze has just gone into the back of I Am Silas. I think Silas might have got in the way there of Maze, and Maze has got right side end plate damage. 1/10 up as well, Maze. Purple through the first sector. And Silas, unfortunately, looks like that will be a steward's investigation. Caught that right at the moment of impact as well.
Yeah, I mean, blocking a car that's on a quali lap is unfortunately a rather severe event. We'll see what the stewards are going to do about that. Looking for drivers at the moment there. I think Invictus is just starting a lap in that McLaren. We'll see how he gets on then, as Silas is coming round as well. But yeah, that could be one thing that may well be looked into. Just trying to track drivers at the moment that are potentially near the end of laps. I think, is that Innisar Storm coming up to the line? No, he's coming through the middle sector. It's the wrong Alfa Romeo. Drivers now gearing up for their final flying laps out there. And we're going to see now the times flooding in. Can anyone top that mark of Jeffrey? We've got about a couple of minutes or so to find out. We'll see how it all unfolds. Just 15 minutes to go of time. These drivers are going to have to get laps in now.
Stian Rambo responding, 104.8 through the middle sector for Stian Rambo, and he's trying to respond to Jeffrey's lap time. 125.8 is the one to beat. I think he's going to fall short of that as the checker flag is now out. Stian Rambo to the line. He does go second, and he's only 3 thousandths ahead of Jibby Storm, who was down by 3/10 of a second. And there's a yellow flag coming through the final sector. It's between a Haas and a McLaren, and that is Nilsson, I think, and Serve the Blessed, perhaps. Because Hulkenberg is finished, so that'll be Serve the Blessed. Just trying to ride on board with anybody on the lap. I think Schmidtsky around the final corner is 1100ths up. Let's see him now towards the line. Is he going to improve on a 26.4? Yes, 26.3. Goes 5th ahead of Mays, who will not improve. Invictus is on a lap 2/10 up, and he is going to improve up to 2nd, I think. Can he challenge Jeffrey for pole? Oh, nearly. Nearly. 10th and a quarter off. Jibby Storm is a 10th down. He's finding the time, but he won't find the time now as I invalidate his lap with a commentator's curse traditionally. Jack Roos is also on a lap, I think, through the middle sector. We've got Jeffrey coming into the pit lane. Dave Miles is now to the line. Invalid, 500ths down on his lap time. And Torenheim, 3/10 up through the middle sector. Let's see now him to the line. and he goes 8th with a 1:26.4. I think that might be everyone. Sappy King's got a big improvement within him, and he's on a valid lap. To the water line goes Sappy King, and he goes 10th, 26.5, and that's, I think, the exception of Jack Roos, who was not on a lap. That is qualifying over Jeffrey on top. That 1:25.8 was not to be beaten. Invictus in second. Only 2 drivers, in fact, within the 1:25s. And Stian Rambo in third. 3,000 ahead of Jimmy Storm. And Schmidtsky on debut in 5th.
Yeah, not bad at all from Schmidtsky. Very excited to see how he copes, of course, in that environment, in that Williams. One thing to note as well, Jeffrey's lap time was set in the midpoint of the session, so he may well have had more in that, so that's very daunting for the rest of the drivers. In the end, Invictus wasn't far off the pole time in the end, but those two on the front row were fairly far clear of the rest of the field. The rest of the field was remarkably close, but those top two, and a little bit of a world of their own out there, will that translate to the race? That's what we're going to find out soon.
Well, everyone will have to find out. It's as simple as that. Jeffrey on top, though, in qualifying from Invictus in second. Stian Rambo in third, with Jibby Storm in fourth, and Schmidtsky on his debut in fifth, with Mays in sixth, Jack Roos in seventh, Torenheim in eighth, Crawler Damon, the reserve, in ninth, best of the rest in terms of Sapney King in 10th, Bart in 11th with Demars 12th, Nilsson 13th, Hulkenberg 14th, Storman 15th, of the Blessed 16th, Passel 17th, Freak Ronk in 18th, and Silas in 19th position. So actually, in terms of the reserves that are filling in tonight, Crawler Damon best out of all the reserves, and three of the reserves, 9th, 10th and 11th out on track. It's going to be fascinating, I think, to see how this race is going to get on. If you are tuning in to Division 5 and you're expecting Division 4, I'm sorry. I'm the bearer of bad news, I'm afraid, because I think Joe Cowboy has got that stream up and running on his own channel. He hasn't got access to our channel, the League Racing TV, so unfortunately you're going to be tuning in for Division 5. So if you're in the wrong place, don't worry, it's going to be uploaded, I'm sure, to the channel very soon indeed. And it's good to see the Job Storm in the comment section as well. Good to see the channel growing. 655 subscribers. We've got 1,000 subscriber count, I think, towards the end of the year. So if we need to get to that target by the end of the year, do a favour, just like, comment, subscribe. Tick that notification bell while you're at it as well. And Freak Ronk commenting on something that you said earlier on. You were absolutely right, Daka. I hit the curbs too hard, made the car dance as if it's on ice. Sadly, the wheels weren't soft enough. There we are.
Yeah, that's... like I said, those curbs are very, very deadly there at turn 7. You have to watch out. By the way, James, I think you're turning into a proper YouTuber there with that advertising. Just like I see all over the website. So well done, man. You'll go on to great things in the future, I'm sure, on the platform. But more to the race now. That's the issue at hand, of course. And one thing to note here, you mentioned earlier tyre degradation very high at this track, and that is evident in the tyre choices outside the top 10. Of course, all of the top 10 qualifying on softs, but outside, completely different story, James.
Completely different story, and the exception rather than the rule. Both Day Miles and Silas have broken the exception rather than the rule and have gone for a set of softs and a set of hards respectively. Now, Day Miles on that set of soft compound of tyres is basically starting from scratch, so he will have 0% tyre wear when he starts this race. So there's the predicted pit stop strategy for Jeffrey. Lap 7 to 9 on a 2-stop, lap 16 to 17. Honestly, do not trust these graphics. I will tell you now, 1 stop is quicker than a 2-stop around here, guaranteed. So if you are listening in, 1 stop is better than a 2-stop strategy, and if you want to try and get those racing to the end, and if it's a clean race and there's no safety cars or anything, then a set of hard compound of tyres, I think, to the end of the race will more than certainly work. Everyone else, though, as we see Invictus going a mile off track, on a set of mediums, Bart, Nilsson, Hulkenberg, Storm, Serve the Blessed, Passelt and Freak Gronk, all on a set of medium compound of tyres. And in terms of the mediums, where do you expect, if there's no safety cars obviously, where do you expect these mediums to run to? I'm thinking around lap 13, 14, 15, around then.
I think that they can certainly stretch at that distance, but I'm also thinking that most of the drivers will probably pit a few laps earlier and try and negate the undercut that the soft runners are going to get while pitting for the hards. There might be 1 or 2 madmen that try and do a medium to soft strategy, but I doubt it with the tyre dig at this track. But we'll see, of course, now. We're lining up to the grid. We've got many intriguing strategy developments, new drivers to behold as well. Here we go then, first round of the new season here in Division 5. TTML about to get underway as Jeffrey Heine on the front row, joined by Invictus. They line it up there, and we can get into the race in just a few seconds' time, James.
Top 3 quickly.
Okay, I'm going to say Jeffrey is going to come through and do a pole to win. I'm going to say Steen Rambo for second, actually, the debut driver. And then I'm going to say Maze will get round off the podium. That's my top 3. Will not be the top 3, I'm never right.
Yeah, predictions are always wrong here, as the 5 red lights now come out here for the season open of Division 5. Long hold, but it's lights out and away we go. Jeffrey gets a really good start. Invictus, I think, has got the traction off the start and actually waves and nearly loses control of the car off the start. There's been a little bit of contact further down the field. I think that's a right side end plate of Silas going off there as well. Through turn 1, everyone Constantinoing up. Everyone looks like they've got through safely. There's a bit of a glitch going on with Jack Roos, I think, gushed inside of a car. Day Miles has gained a couple of positions early on. Great start from 12th, I think, on the grid. And now Day Miles is trying to attack on the back, and he goes round the outside of Jack Roos through turn 4. Can he get the move done? As Invictus has lost a few positions up the start, and Jack Roos and Day Miles are fighting very hard indeed for the move. Satmi King has been caught up in an instant, I think, with Bart. Might have been short of room there, so Satmi King down to the back of the field. But Jeffrey out in front is 8/10 clear from Jibby Storm in second. In fact, that gap is now a second out on track. Stian Rambo third, Schmidtsky in fourth, and Schmidtsky run on the back now of Stian Rambo. Stian Rambo obviously had a poor run coming out of turn 10, now on the run towards turn 11, and Schmidtsky trying to go for the move. He's not quite close enough. Trawler Damon, Jack Roos, all in the background as Day Miles tries to go all the way around the outside. He's forced off track slightly. As of the blessed Silas, I think, have been caught up in a bit of a collision further down the field. All relatively clean. A little bit of scrimmaging further down the field. Schmidtsky has got a tremendous run on the back of Stian Rambo's left him for dead. Running down in towards turn 14. Schmidtsky is through and he's up into third position. Jibby Storm is trying to hassle on the back of Jeffrey, but at the end of lap 1, it's Jeffrey who leads by 0.6 of a second from Jibby Storm in second, and let the graphics glitch commence.
As always, I think that's one thing that's pretty much a given there. I'm looking for the road there. That battle with Victus very late launched out into Steen Rambo. The Alpha Tauri is forced out wide, but just about holds the position now. Invictus the McLaren almost runs it right outside of turn 3 now to the inside, heading for turn 4 of the McLaren, trying to get himself up into 4th place. Right there, there's almost contact between them. They were so remarkably close to the apex. Steen Rambo just about sees it off, maintains the position out on track there. He lost out to Smetsky out there, has just about managed to stay ahead of Invictus, who went for the move, didn't quite come off. The McLaren still has to sit in behind there. It's beginning to spread out amongst the race leaders there. Jeffrey's made a brilliant start there. Jeffrey Storm trying to go with him. That's the status quo early on in this race there. Down in the midfield though is where things are a little bit closer, a little bit more on the knife edge there. And Seven the Place has gone off, going down into turn 9. That's a very peculiar place to crash. There must have been contact.
Safety car deployed out on track as well. Serve the Blessed, I think, had spun. He tried to get the car re-going again, and he's hit the wall. At about probably 20 mile an hour, I think. That's probably the softest collision you will see with the wall, but Serve the Blessed enough to bring out the safety car out on track, and that means we're now under a null race, essentially. Everyone has now got to think about those tyres strategy and think about the race ahead. I don't expect anybody, to be honest, into the pit lane. I could be wrong, though. You normally expect me to be wrong here in commentary, but at the end of lap 2 with the safety car now out, Jeffrey leads
headed for the pit lane.
1.4 seconds. Mays then into the pit lane, and I think that's Torenheim coming in behind him as well, as is Jack Roos. So 3 of the soft runners on for a set of hard compound of tyres. Oh, I don't know with Mays, set of hard compound of tyres. He is expecting, I think, those tyres possibly to go to the end of the race. 26 laps on the set of hards, impossible.
Yeah, I was going to say, that seems like an extremely tall order. He's going to have to rely, I think, on a couple more safety cars popping up throughout the race to be able to make that strategy feasible. Very big risk, particularly for Mays, because he was actually running in pretty solid track position. So giving that up and also putting your strategy at risk is seemingly a bit of an intriguing strategy, certainly, but maybe not the wisest. Of course, we will all see how it all unfolds. As commentators, we are usually wrong about these things, but we will see, of course, how it all unfolds. Tornheim behind, and what is very interesting here, the drivers that did come in, there was quite a wide variety, well, I'd say a bit of a mix of strategies there. You had Maze, Jatros and Passels all opting for the hard tyres and probably being a bit more risky with it, whereas I think Tornheim, Storm, Satmy King and Silas may have chosen the more sensible option and going for fresh mediums, and they're going to be some of the fastest cars on track surely once we get back to racing conditions.
Yeah, they definitely will, but I think the disadvantage for those guys on a set of mediums, and indeed for those guys that put it in on a set of hard compound of tyres, they're going to be caught in traffic. So if that safety car remains out for at least another lap or so, Jeffrey, Jibby Storm and the likes are going to be holding up the guys who are going to be quicker. Hulkenberg, they're only going to have about 8 or 9% tyre wear over the guys that have came in on a set of mediums and indeed on a set of hard compound of tyres. So it's going to be fascinating to see. We've essentially got a bit of a split in two races, I think, almost, where we've got the quicker guys toward the back of the field, the slower guys towards the front of the field. It's going to be fascinating. The safety car will not be coming in this lap, it will be coming in next lap around. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to hop off commentary for a minute and you might have to take the restart.
Okay, thank you very much, James. I will now take you through the next few minutes or so. So yeah, very intriguing prospect ahead of this restart. Presumably we'll get back to it on this lap there. The field is now fully converged and we can get back to racing very shortly for you folks, which is I'm sure what you all want to see. But yeah, what's very fascinating about this is that it does negate some of the tyre degradation of your front runners. So you likes of Jeffrey down to Day Miles in 7th there on the soft tyres. They will probably not suffer as much from tyre deg, whereas it does hinder slightly, I believe, the drivers that started on the mediums, because I don't think that it's going to present enough of an opportunity for them to move on to the softs at the end of the race. So I think what's going to happen is that essentially the soft tyre degradation is going to be not completely cancelled out, but certainly negated. So yeah, we'll see now that the effects of the medium tyres not going off as much will not be as impressive, and it does mean that the top 7 have more of a chance of holding on to their track position. So Nilsson, Bart, Frickbrong and Hulkenberg may slightly suffer from this. We'll see, of course. We do have, as James mentioned a minute or so ago, we have 2 or 3 races coming through. You have the drivers that are started on the soft tyres now in the front, you have the drivers that started on the mediums in the centre, and you have the drivers that made pit stops at the back. So it's very, very fascinating, very, very intriguing, and I think we will have to go through the restart very shortly. We'll see, of course, how Jeffrey plays this. The safety car will come in at the end of this lap, and now the Red Bull will start to back up the pack. I do hope that James left the cameras in a place where you can actually see our lead fight, as we have actually down the field there. Bart has come into contact with Freak Bonk down there and has been given a 5-second penalty. So I'm not exactly sure the circumstances of that. We'll look though towards the front of the field with Jeffrey now. Backing him up, Jimmy Storm and the racing point into. Here we go then. He's going to have to go out the last corner, and Jeffrey now gets onto the throttle. He's left Jimmy Storm for dead there. Great restart for the Red Bull, and away he goes into the race lead then for the down the field. Close battle there. Invictus had a great restart. He drove alongside Steen Rambo. Can he get the move done? On the AlphaTauri down there. Then the Ferrari of Crawler Demon as well. Almost making 3 wide, trying to go down the middle. But Invictus down the inside there. Steen Rambo's going to get forced out there. I don't think you guys can see this on the stream, but I'll cover it anyway there. Crawler Demon has a great run there, going round the outside towards turn 4. He is wheel to wheel now, but Invictus almost there, as Steen Rambo has to back out of it. So the Ferrari moves up, round the outside. The AlphaTauri trying to fight back on the inside, draws back, level with the Ferrari. Now they're heading for turn 6 there, almost coming together. But Crawler Demon is just about able to get through in front there and up into the top 5 now. Looking at the situation up in front, Jeffrey managing to maintain that race lead at there, 6/10 clear of Jimmy Storm, who in turn is about 6/10 clear of Schmitzky. And behind then, who doesn't get the best run out of turn 10, is going to have to try and pick that one back up. So Jeffrey leads the way out there, and we'll see now if the pole setter's pace can start to move clear. Of course, the only driver that got near him in qualifying was Invictus, and of course Invictus is slightly isolated back there, a little way off the top 3, and is going to have to try and work his way back in after that disastrous start there. We have an incident for the back though. That's Dave Miles, who's going off on the exit of turn 12 and the entry of turn 13. May have been a spat off the curb, or it may well have been in contact with another driver. Not exactly sure what has happened down there. Jeffrey still leads the way out there as Jimmy Storm trying to move with him, but Jimmy Storm has used about 20% more on the ERS on the restart to try and stay with Jeffrey. So if Jeffrey keeps this pace up, he may well be able to break the racing point one way or another. TTML is going round again at the exit of turn 14. He's going to have to try and gather that Alfa Romeo back up. I imagine a pit stop further down the field. Crawler Damon is now on the attack. I think Invictus made a mistake. He almost runs back into the Ferrari. Crawler Damon up in a 4th place there. Invictus really struggling out there for traction. Now drop it back. I think I've heard James return. So James, are you there?
I am indeed, and there's been quite a lot happening, I guess.
It has been a very chaotic restart there, particularly a great battle we saw between Crawler, Damon, Invictus, and Steen Rambo. In the end, they've all swapped places, and Damon now really impressing out there, up in the 4th place, trying to keep up with the front runners. Jeffrey had a brilliant restart there, has dominated proceedings so far. 1.3 seconds clear out the front. Dave Mills and Tornheim have both had incidents and pit stops, so they've now dropped back. But yeah, that battle from 4th through 6th was a real highlight. Jeffrey now leads the way, the 1.2 seconds clear now. See if Jimmy Storm can stay with him, or if the pole setter can really start to move away up in the front.
Bit of a lock up there from Crawler Damon coming through turn 13. Gotta be honest, Schmidtsky is looking quicker, I think, than Jibby Storm. This is for 2nd position currently out on track. Schmidtsky is not close enough. They're going to be starting lap 7 out of 29 out on track. It's Jeffrey who leads. Jibby Storm in 2nd, Schmidtsky in 3rd, and everyone just keeping, of course, with the DRS now enabled. Pit window as well for the soft runners are now also open. So that's lap 7 to 9 on a set of hard compound tyres. We've got side-by-side action no further down the field. Mays has used the overtake mode up to good effect, and he's through on Hulkenberg. So Mays through on Hulkenberg. Hulkenberg, though, tries to dive it down the inside. And in fact, he could come under pressure from Jack Roos in behind on the set of hard compound tyres. Sappy King getting very close there as well. Not sure if there was a bit of front wing knocking off that car. It seems fine, but on the run up the hill, certainly nobody is going to change positions, I don't think. Sappy King looking to the inside on a Jack Roos, but not close enough. Further up the field, Schmidtsky putting a lot of pressure on Jibby Storm. 0.3 of a second separating. And I'll tell you what, Schmidtsky is really all over the back. He's trying to force Jibby Storm in for a bit of a mistake here. And Schmidtsky really after being in this race well, as the spinner further down the field. It's Nilsson. Nilsson has done a call boy from Division 2 last night. He is round through turn 8. And Nilsson, unfortunately, has been disqualified from going the wrong way. And that, honestly, must have been a 10-second spin. And the game has disqualified him for going the wrong way. And honestly, Codemasters, fix your game if you're listening.
Yeah, that is very, very unlucky for Nilsson there, and I agree with you, that really should be happening there. He has been, I think, cheated out of that. Of course, he did make a mistake, but he didn't really deserve to be disqualified for that. Looking further up the road there, Jimmy Storm's made a mistake coming out of turn 14, and now Smetsky is on the charge. 2 seconds is the gap to Jeffrey. We'll see if the Williams can make the ground, and he might well do.
Easy.
And now picks up the slipstream down the inside. Surely the move will be done there. Overtake is in action, and yes, Smetsky easily through into 2nd place. What a charge from the Williams on debut. Now up to P2. What a race this has been so far.
Oh, we've got 2 side-by-side battles as well. Sappy King and Jack Roos, Storm and Silas. Invictus is round through turn 3. And he's gone off, and there might be another safety car to be deployed. They're trying to get the moves done, though. Sappy King and Jack Roos come into contact. Coming through turn 3. Temper's beginning to fray really out on track. NSR Storm, I think, was caught up in that at one stage as well. Salas has gained a number of positions, but I think with that being off track, I don't think the safety car or the VSC is going to be deployed. Oh, and I've literally just said that. And Jeffrey has spun through turn 8. Jeffrey has spun through turn 8. Unbelievable. From the lead of the race, Jeffrey from a safety car. He better not get disqualified as well. He gets the car going. He's got to re-get the car going again. Hulkenberg's got a drive-through penalty, but Jeffrey has got the car going and he hasn't been disqualified. And he's spent a longer time getting that car going than Nilsson, if I've got to be honest. But safety car now out. Literally just came out, and Schmidtsky now leads from Jibby Storm in 2nd. How crucial, though, was that move for Schmidtsky getting that done, because now he is in the prime position to win this.
I can control this there. Frick Funk as well, getting a drive-through penalty. I think that's 2 drivers now that picked that up, and 2 drivers that are actually running in relatively decent positions. So we'll see what they do now in terms of the strategy. They can't serve it under the safety car, so they are going to have to wait out there. So Schmidtsky now leads the way and is going to take this opportunity. It is getting into the pit window for the soft tyres. They're now going to come in, and surely all 4 yes are going to come in as well as some of the mediumers, Freak Frog, I think, has made the rather unique strategy call of staying out then. Has that given it up, though? Has that given up track position? And you know what this has done? Look where it's promoted Maze. If he can somehow get these tires to the end, now the Mercedes could be in the power seat here.
They can be, but I'm more confused as what to Crawler. Yeah, I'll get my words out eventually. Crawler Damon, look at his strategy. He's gone into a soft compound of tyres. The weirdest decision I think you could ever see in a Bahrain pit stop out on track. Not only that, he's held up his teammates as well, because Bart was behind him, and unfortunately, Bart has been held up in the pits and has lost, I should say, a whole load of positions out on track. But we are back under the safety car. If you are trying to tune in for Division 4, unfortunately, connection issues, I think, has plagued Joseph Corboy and, indeed, Graham Chappell. But you're with us in Division 5, and we've already had 2 safety cars out on track. It is honestly the James Head magic, I think, working out on track. I said there'll be safety cars, and lo and behold, there is.
And Dame Miles gets a penalty for under safety car. I see this very often in league races. I'm not sure why Codemasters are still very strict with applying penalties. Of course, if you completely cut across the corner, that's dangerous and probably needs to be penalised. But if it's just simple running off the track, I don't know why Codemasters don't loosen it under safety car. Dame Miles gets a penalty for something that really wasn't gaining an advantage from.
Oh, I've just seen, by the way, Division 4 is live. I've just seen that on the channel. So Division 4 is also now live. If you want to hop over to that, you can. But if you want to stay here under the safety car with us, you can do that as well. Or you can just have a dual monitor setup and you can watch both races at the same time. Wonder how many people's invested in that, I wonder. But,
money.
Oh, go on.
I was going to say, money no object, I know which one I'm going for. We'll see, of course, now how that's going to unfold. We're going to get focus more on the race, because I think that, I was going to say, Satmi King has benefited from this, but he will surely have to pit again. We will see as, Freak Frog comes in a lap later. That's surely a throwaway track position, though.
NSR Storm also in as well behind him, but Freak Ronk has thrown away track position and he's going to be at the back of the safety car queue, but with NSR Storm, who also came in. And what on earth have you just seen?
It's Satmi King nearly ran into the back of Maze as they went into break for turn 1 there. The Mercedes almost came together on the safety car. Satmi King was just about able to avoid Maze. That could have got very nasty between the 2 Mercedes. That's all the reaction for was. Carry on, James.
I saw them at 600ths of a second at one point amongst that. Torrenheim has been given a penalty for severe collision with Dame Miles. Now, they were catching the safety car queue at the time, and there's a whole host of late braking there. Luckily, nobody's gone into the back of each other. But remember, these guys have got to be very cautious. The safety car is going to be coming in, I think, this lap, so we will get back underway. But these guys have got to be careful. And Maze, after that strategy, after that right side end plate damage that he had earlier on in the race, he now leads from Satmi King in second. And unfortunately for F1 fans, how often do we see this? A Mercedes 1-2.
It's incredible what happens when you get transferred into the virtual world. Virtually nothing at all, I'd say, but we'll see, of course, if that holds up throughout the remainder of the race. You're seeing now, you have such a wide variety and mix of strategy calls now, because we've had 2 safety cars really mix things up. I think Zmetsky is still in a very strong position here, from 5th place now already, and on tyres that should easily get to the end of the race, but will Jimmy Storm, who's gone very risky on the mediums, will he be able to challenge him from behind and try and get back past that Williams safety car in this lap, James?
Safety car is indeed this lap, and I was going to come on to the fact that Crawler Damon is on a set of soft compound of tyres as well, so he surely is going to be quicker than every single driver ahead of him. Now we see Maze holding up that safety car queue, and Silas has got a 5-second penalty for collision with Day Miles. I think that was coming through turn 13, but now Maze, when is he going to time it to go? I think just before turn 14 might be the best time to go, really slowing up the pack, and then he'll begin to go, and now he says go. And Maze has absolutely disposed of Satmi King, 9/10 of a second. That is the difference from a restart, and Maze has got a tremendous restart. Jack Roos has spun, coming into the safety car, he's spun through the final corner. but we're back on the way. Mays leads, Sammy King second, Passel's third, and look at Schmidtski not hanging around either. He's trying to get the move done, running down towards turn 1. Can he possibly get the move done? Somebody that can possibly is Silas. He is trying to go around the outside of Jeffrey. This for 10th position out on track. Silas does not manage that move done. He tries to cut back on the inside. Crawler Damon as well going side by side with Jimmy Storm as Dave Miles has retired in the pit lane, and down the inside goes Crawler Damon. What a move, late on the brakes, and he could get 2 for 1. Koschmitzky has run wide as well. Crawler Damon now to the inside line. Can he get the move done? Beautiful helicopter shot as we run through the middle sector. What a move! Around the outside, through the finals, through the S section, through the final corner of the S section, through turn 7, and Crawler Damon, with the traction at his disposal, has just disposed of Schmidtski in the blinking of an eye.
He needed to make the soft tyres work, and what effect he's done that to. Crawler Damon is flying, and now immediately getting up to Passel's up in the lead now. Mays dropped Sammy King immediately off the restart, timed it beautifully, but immediately now on those medium tyres, Sammy King is coming back into play and now beginning to pressure his teammate. They're both doing very well on the RS, so we'll see now how that unfolds. Crawler Damon now already on the back of Passel's, goes to the outside. They're what a lap this has been for the Ferrari. Can he get it done? On the brakes, hitting into turn 14, they are level, bringing very
brilliant.
Crawler Damon round the outside. He's done 3 cars in a single lap on those soft tyres. Simply remarkable. And now can he carry on that charge and maybe try close in on the front too? Crawler Damon, we thought it might have been a rather intriguing strategy call, may not have worked the best, but he's flying at the moment. Silas as well, also making quick progress. Now he's on the inside on Bart, and he's going to see that one through as well.
Good move, Sammy King as well, challenging for the lead. He's down the inside of Mays, down in towards turn 4, the 2 Mercedes, duel in the desert from 2014, Rosberg and Hamilton. It is like that. They've got a Ferrari chasing them and hunting them down, crawling quite literally on the back, and Sammy King and Mays come into contact. The 2 teammates have hit each other. It's circa Barcelona 2014 as well when the 2 teammates hit each other. I might be wrong on the years, but you know what I mean. Sammy King now down to the back of the field, Mays into the lead. To be honest, racing incident, I think, there.
Yeah, I think that Sammy King was well. Jimmy Storm as well is lining up. Zemensky now back there. He's got the overtake on, will not quite get it through, but I agree with you on that. I think Sammy King's line was very shallow on the inside. Yeah. Mays gave him the space, but ultimately the angle of Sammy King's car led to the contact taking place. In the end, Sammy King comes off worse. Look at Crawler Damon though. This charge is remarkable. Now lining up the Mercedes for the race. He gets a great run off of turn 12. Turn 13 is going to go to the tiniest gap. Thread the needle. And Crawler Damon now into the race lead. The soft tyres being used to absolutely perfect effect as Tornheim's now gone round.
Yep, Tornheim round through turn 12. Just seen that spin. He's got back going again. Not sure if he's got any end plate damage. DRS though is now enabled. Crawler Damon, well hell, he didn't even need the DRS because he's now 5/10 of a second ahead of Mays. Passel's now under pressure from Schmidtski, running down in towards turn 1. Cian Rambo, oh my goodness me, nearly goes into the back of Jibby Storm, and that was a voice crack and a half from your head commentator in TTML. Jibby Storm though, on the back of Schmidtski. He's going to try and get the run up the hill in towards turn 4, but he's not going to back off. Schmidtski though tries to go for a sway-like move in Division 2 last night. Schmidtski tried to go for the move, not there, and Stian Rambo all over the back of these guys. These 4 really falling hand over fist of each other. Jimmy Storm now to the outside line, switches it, dummies him down the inside line, is trying to get past it, all expensive paid, but Schmidtski hangs on for 4th for now.
Jimmy Storm is throwing everything at Schmidtski, but can't quite find the way through, and this is hurting him now on those fast and medium tyres. He has to get through soon. All of these guys have to get through on Passel's, who has the oldest tyres out of everyone, especially now as Silas now at the racing point on fresh soft tyres now coming into play. We saw how easily Crawler Damon was able to get through, so now all of these guys are going to share a common threat in their rear view mirrors. Let's see how this one unfolds. Of course, Schmidtski has the advantage of Passel's not having DRS up in front as they're really hanging out there going through turn 13. There is nothing in it. These drivers are pushing to the absolute limit. Now Passel's in his defence has used virtually all of his overtake of his ERS, and now surely he's going to be on the defensive here. Jimmy Storm, though, look at the run he has, closing up to the back of Shemetsky. He's thrown everything in the Williams, and now he's going to get through. Shemetsky now goes to the move on Passels, down the inside, and now Jimmy Storm, very, very late move down the inside. He's going to get pinched on the inside, though. Passels back around the outside in the Renault, wheel to wheel again through 2. Jimmy Storm gets through. Now State Rambo just about eases down the inside, heading towards turn 4. Here we go, it's Silas now, looking almost making 3 wide again, but State Rambo down the inside gets the move done. Now Passels dropping back now as Silas gets through on the soft tyres there. Passels gets overtaken by the entire train back there. What a remarkable sequence. In the end, Svensky came off best. He got a good gap on Jimmy Storm. I thought for a moment that those two drivers, Svensky and Jimmy Storm, were going to come together, but luckily they were just able to avoid it. Now Silas is the threat. He's now holding in on Stain Rambo there. The Racing Point is flying at the moment, but runs wide though.
And look who's joined on the back of this as well. Jeffrey, right on the back of this. He spun under the safety car. And now he's going for a move on Passels. Passels, sorry to say, has been bullied, and he's dropping the field, down the field like a stone. And now Jeffrey to the inside, right through turn 11. Brilliant stuff from Jeffrey. I.e. last night sort of move from Gary, I think it was, and a Racing Point similarly as well, but Jeffrey is through and he's up into 7th position. Great move through turn 11, had the traction. Salas trying to catch up onto the back. Crawler Damon, by the way, has just disposed of Mays by 5.2 seconds, and if he continues that gap up, I honestly think he could get to the end of the race. Well, not on those tyres, but he can get to the end of the race and with a good chance of picking up at least a top 5.
Yeah, I think the pace that he's showing is remarkable. He's virtually about a second a lap quicker than anyone else on the track at the moment. He's absolutely flying, and of course, when he gets fresh tyres on, he can continue at that charge as well. He will have to make an extra pit stop. We thought the strategy was peculiar, but it is working out so far for Crawler Damon. Will it come good heading into the final few laps of this race? The questions will be answered very, very soon. Penalty, Jimmy Storm. He's been trying desperately to get through Juretsky, and that is not going to help the Racing Point at all. I hope you're okay there, James. As now, Silas is beginning to struggle actually. I thought he was going to make more inroads, but now Jeffrey, in fact, the pole setter and long-time race leader, well, after that mistake, is on a furious charge, trying to get up to the Racing Point. A couple of seconds shy of Smetsky on faster tyres. He's not out this race either.
Jack Roos is going on the inside on of NSR. Stole my voice, by the way, is going, so you might have to take over for the rest of the stream at this rate. But Jack Roos is through, and he's into 10th position. If you're wondering why, by the way, my voice is going, I had 4 winners on the horses earlier on, so that's probably why I've been shouting at them rather than at the commentary here. Here comes Stan Rambo now to the inside, coming through turn 14. I think he's disposed of Jibby Storm quite easily down the inside, but Jibby Storm, I think, is going to have the DRS running from that detection zone from the back of turn 14, now opens it up, and yo-yo effects back into position. So up into P4 goes Jibby Storm. I don't think CM Rambo's got any sort of response here down the inside and towards turn 1, and Jibby Storm is through, but CM Rambo really closing up Bart and Passels now losing the position. Bart really gaining through the field, but Silas is dropping off on these guys, and it looks to me as if he might be just overwearing those tyres slightly, because he's got Jeffrey, somebody with CM Rambo and Jimmy Storm, going side by side just in front of them. I'll cut on my own words there, but Jeffrey is right on the back of Salas, and it almost looks like Salas is just overheating those tyres, overrunning them, and I can see blistering occurring as Jeffrey, oh my god almighty, how on earth he did not pick up damage there is beyond me.
That was very, very fortunate for Jeffrey, but look at Silas runs away, completely misses the braking zone, and yeah, Jeffrey fully takes advantage, moves up now up into 2nd place, continuing that comeback drive. Can he keep the momentum going? Now, looking a bit further up ahead, Mays now on those old hard tyres. He's made very good use of them, but now it's starting to come back to him as Zemetsky closing him down. We'll see if Mays can somehow hang on to this, but I very much doubt it. We will see, of course. Stain Rambo trying to get back up to Jimmy Storm. Both of these guys have completely drained their ERS in combat with each other, and in the end, it's not achieved much. They're going to have to try and figure out a way to do it the old-fashioned way without I can't even get my words out there, the ERS to try and help them out. Stain Rambo is using the overtake with DRS. He's desperate to find the move now. He's getting right up towards it there, looking to the inside, very, very late on the brakes. Can he get it stopped on the inside there? Parks it on the apex, wheel-to-wheel contact. Jimmy Storm both with his contact. The Racing Point just about saves it now off to Jeffrey's Jeffrey's off again and out.
Jeffrey off, he spun coming through turn 2, I think. I'm not sure if he was side by side with Silas perhaps, but Jeffrey is out of the race, and what was marking like it was a remarkable comeback now brings out another safety car out on track. It's the third of the night, and that has brought about Crawler Damon into the lead of the race. Look how far he is ahead. He is 12.4 seconds ahead. I think that's because Maze is sticking to his delta time rather than anything else. The gap was about 9 seconds, I think. But Crawler Damon crawled all over the back of these guys from the pit stop, put on a set of soft compound of tyres. Did he know that there was going to be another safety car? Because he, I think, has landed himself in the pole position to take the race win.
Completely agree with you there. He may well come into the pits very close, if not in the race lead. At least he'll be in the mix. And then you don't know what he can achieve. What I assume that Maze is also going to come in and try and get fresh tyres on. Actually, potentially we'll see if he can maybe fancy his chances getting through, but I think that we'll be seeing a lot of cars in the pit lane this lap. Crawler Damon, predictably, into the pit lane. Medium tyres, I suspect, are going to go on to that Ferrari to go to the end of the race, and well, he has landed himself right in it. Crawler Damon Maze as well into the pit lane, and yeah, as we called most of the cars in, actually Stain Rambo staying out there, very intriguing. He's going to maintain the race lead, but no hard tyre, surely he'll be a sitting duck.
Stain Rambo though might have preempted the inevitable, because everyone is going on to a set of medium compound of tyres. He'll be wondering everybody to fall over themselves. Torenheim, by the way, has picked up a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car. We see Stan Ramble now onto the back of that safety car. Torenheim is in third, coming out ahead of Maze. He hasn't came into the pits either. But what I was saying, Stan Ramble from the front, on a set of hard compound of tyres, they can last to the end of the race. Crawler Damon, understandably, has got fresher tyres, and you would imagine that he'll get past them sooner rather than later. But if I was in Stan Ramble's position, I would stay out. He has now got to commit to the end of the race and try and land himself a good result, because Torenheim, if he doesn't pit in, he can't pit in, of course, under the safety car for that drive-through penalty, so he can't serve that up, but Torenheim will be a bit of traffic to the guys on the medium. So I almost think we're going to see two races, and we're going to see a battle for the win between Crawler Damon and Stian Rambo, and then we're going to see a possible best of the rest between Torenheim, between Mage, Schmitsky and the others.
This may have been coordinated, I imagine, between the two AlphaTauris, actually, to try and give Stain Rambo a good run at a top two finish here. Of course, Torenheim has now considerably the oldest tyres in the field, but I don't know how much resistance he'll be able to offer. You'll be surprised, of course, the difference that just even a few lap fresher tyres can make, then never mind 11. So I'm not sure if Torenheim's going to hold them back for very long. Now, we will see, of course. There's an almost infinite amount of possibilities ahead of us when we get to the restart on the next lap, I presume. We will see now as the field will now emerge as one, heading for the final phase of this race. What an unpredictable one it's been. We've had 3 safety cars, and now it has dramatically mixed up the order. We've seen mistakes that both the guys that sat on the front row of the grid are now out of the running. So they will not have a say in where the points are going to go here at Bahrain. I think Crawler Damon certainly in the pound seat to win this one, but we will see, of course. Anything can happen in Grand Prix racing, and it usually does. Let's see what happens then. We'll have 10 laps to go when we get going again.
Yeah, 10 more laps will go after this lap, because I think Free Grunk and Sapmi King are still yet to jump onto the back, onto the safety car, as I hear myself coming through twice. So you're getting double the treats now here on on TTML, on League Racing TV. You're getting 2 of me. Fantastic. They're paying me double, I think, for that echo to come through. Stian Rambo leads the way from Crawler Damon in second, but safety car obviously going to be coming in this lap. If you were in the likes of May's position or Schmitsky's positions, down in 4th and 5th, we see the position gains there. Passos has gained the most on 10, but Maze, remember, he got right side end plate damage. The safety cars have really brought him into contention. If you were in his position, what would you do on Torenheim? Would you attack right from the get-go and put Torenheim under pressure right from the outset? Or would you hold back, wait for the DRS to be enabled in 3 laps' time, and then wait for the move then?
That entirely depends on the situation. I don't think you should, when you have drivers, very quick, competitive drivers on the same strategy as you behind, you can't afford to go push for an overtake and slip up. So I think what Maze is going to do is you just have to try and sit right on the rear end, probe, and if there's a mistake, you immediately go for that opening. But you shouldn't be too forceful, because that's when mistakes can happen, and that's where the door can open to the cars behind. So if I were Maze, I wouldn't attack immediately off it unless Tornheim got a poor restart. After that, though, if there's any mistake from the AlphaTauri, I go for it and make sure I put a car between myself and the chasing pack.
Pascal's 5-second penalty, but Stian Rambo is not hanging about under this safety car restart. Goodness me, if he commits this now, he's going to have to wait until that safety car line, until that safety car comes into the pit lane, he's going to have to wait. But because the field is so spread out, they've got to go. And now we go, and Stian Rambo has got Crawler Damon all over the back of him. This is a disastrous restart, I think, from the leader, and now Crawler Damon crawling all over the back of him. Down the inside line, we've got a whole host of moves happening further down the field. Schmitzky and Jimmy Storm going side by side. Mason Torrenheim going side by side. Crawler Damon tries to overtake off track, and now they're side by side. Running up the hill and towards turn 4. There's the yellow flag in sector 1. Schmitzky is round. Schmitzky is round. I think he got caught up in a collision, possibly with Jimmy Storm or Salas, one of the two racing points. But Crawler Damon's through, and he's into the lead of the race. Stian Rambo cannot hold on at all, and now Crawler Damon is now going to potentially win this one. Stian Rambo second, Mason third, Torrenheim in fourth. But goodness me, the side by side action all the way down the field. Salas and Bart nearly come into collision through turn 8. We've got Jimmy Storm trying to go around the outside of Torrenheim as well, coming through turns 9 and 10. My voice is honestly cracking up. Please take over.
I will indeed for you, James. But yeah, Crawler Damon did exactly what he needed to do. That's heartbreak, though, for Smetsky. Arguably would have been in a winning position without the safety cars, but now the Williams is back at the back of the field, and yeah, that's going to really suffer now. He's going to maybe try and see what he can make out of the final 9 laps of this race, but I'm not sure how far he's going to be able to go. We'll look further back as it begins to settle down. 14 drivers still left in the race to dispute this one. The ending of this Bahrain Grand Prix. What a season opener we have been treated to, but at the moment Crawler Damon in the Ferrari is moving away. Silas is trying to pressure Bart back there as those two continue to fade away in their own isolated fight. We'll see now how that all unfolds as they head down. There's Svetsky already on the attack, moves past Hulkenberg, who goes into the pit lane as it looks like he's all settled down a little bit, yeah, and it looks like he is going to retire from the race. We'll see, of course, he is still going out there, but we'll look towards the race leaders at the moment. Maze isn't making the progress that I expected him to make. He managed to get the move done on Tornheim incredibly quickly, but since then has not managed to make many inroads, and Stian Rambo at the moment is maintaining that second place, doing a great job on his A2 hard tyres at the moment.
Yeah, doing a really good job. Maze obviously a second behind. Torrenheim is 7 tenths off as well. And Torrenheim's not really going away from this either. There's the yellow flag through sector 2, and Freak Ronk is off at the same position where we crashed in qualifying. He's got a right side end plate damage as well after hitting the wall through turn 7. He did an XL Ryan actually of last night, twice over now, once in qualifying, once in the race, and Freak Ronk now has to commit possibly to a strategy. Sammy King and Salas are now going side by side. Sammy King trying to go around the outside through turn 11. Salas has run wide, I think, slightly. Now Sappy King to the inside line, round the outside through turn 12. Impossible move, but Salas gets caught. Salas got caught on the inside curve, I think. Now we saw a little bit of snap of oversee when Sappy King uses that to great effect. He's round on the outside through turn 12, and he's through, and he's up into P8 out on track. Maze just out of DRS range. Of course, DRS will be now enabled
coming in
onto lap 23 out of 24. Torrenheim is in, and he doesn't feel like those tyres can get to the end of the race. He could go for a soft lap attempt on for fastest lap later on in the race. But Pascal's on the back of Jimmy Storm. Jimmy Storm just runs out wide slightly, but maintains 4th position for now. And Schmitzky, who was caught up in a collision on lap 1, gets the move done possibly on Jack Roos, but Jack Roos comes back at him, and Schmitzky does not get that move done for 10th.
Schmitzky's going to have to try and look again then and see if he can try probe for an overtake there and get back into that top 10. We will see. At the moment it's relatively strung out after a few incidents back there. I'm saying that the Renault Passels is actually very inspired here and is chasing down Jimmy Storm now in that 4th place. We'll see how that all unfolds with the Renault. Looks to the inside almost heading for turn 10, but is not going to lunge it from that distance back. Crawler Damon looks pretty comfortable now, 3 seconds clear up in the front. He was gifted a great position thanks to the safety car, but I have to say, on this restart, he has proved that he's potentially a worthy race winner. We don't know, it's not over yet, but he has dominated proceedings there. Moved away not only from Seeing Rambo, but all the rest of the medium runners. Superb stuff from the Ferrari, coming up with 7 laps to go. Just has to avoid mistakes and he'll hold on to it.
Schmidtke trying to go down the inside on Jack Roos. Jack Roos has got right side end plate damage, and Schmidtke is through. Down the inside through turn 13 of all places. And he's through and he's up into 10th position. But now Jack Roos has got to think about possibly coming into the pit lane. He's not going to fight that car, I don't think, any further. And Jack Roos on the right up with the right side end plate damage is going to continue on. Passels on the back of Jimmy Storm, running down in towards turn 1, but not quite close enough. Everything is spread out quite evenly, I think. Stian Rambo currently in second, Mays in third. But yeah, Crawler Damon, I think the advantage, and I'm going to say 2 words, clear air. Crawler Damon is in clear air and is completely dominating this race. And I've got to be honest, this might be the final time we've seen him in Division 5, because I think he might have proven himself for an upgrade into Division 4 after this race. And let me tell you, he's a reserve as well.
Yeah, we'll see, of course, what the admin team decides to do about that. That's not something that we have a huge amount of control over, so we will, of course, keep an eye out and see what happens with Crawler Damon. But, you know, also, don't forget that the 2 drivers that qualified on the front row made mistakes that put them out of the race. That removed a huge amount of competition for Crawler Damon. But we'll see. Was looking very impressive, made a very bizarre strategy call that in the end has paid dividends, but I think he may well have been heading for the race win anyway without the 3rd safety car. So it's impossible to say. We'll see, of course, what everyone decides to do about that. We're just looking round for more fights out on track. We did see that Tornheim wasn't confident that he'd get those tyres to the end. Actually hasn't changed the tyres in the pit stop. It's still out there on old hard, so I'm a little bit baffled by that. But what this means is that potentially Stian Rambo, who's done a remarkable job, I'd say, of maintaining that 2nd place, is that going to hold out for him there? We will see. Passel still lining up Jimmy Storm, but the move, okay, coming through. Schmidtke now on the attack. It's going to go right outside the Storm and fights back onto the brakes, and a turn 1 there. Clips the car on the inside though, so the momentum is with the Williams, and he gets running outside, but look for the comeback there from NSR Storm, who gets back in that slipstream, opens the DRS and careens back around the outside, gets those in front on the brakes. Schmidtke doesn't get an elbow down the inside there, it's going to run wide, force him almost off track, but Storm making it work there. They're so close at the end of turn 6, right outside the Alfa Romeo, fighting in his contact, and Schmidtke almost goes round, just about manages to save the William. Storm did not give much space at all there. Schmidtke had to get out of that one, so risky it could have been, and my oh my, how are they both still facing the right direction?
I think more room should have been given from Storm's perspective, to be honest. He is fighting that car with left side end plate damage, so that might have been why he was trying to take that shallow line. Sammy King, by the way, is down the inside on Bart coming through turn 11, and Bart has got left side end plate damage as well, and Sammy King is through, and he's up into 6th position. Mercedes passes a Ferrari for not the first time in real life or in the virtual world either. Sammy King is through and he's up into 6th position. Bart now fighting that car very gingerly, I think, towards the line. We're not seeing many battles further down the field. Passels has been looking quite close on the back of Jimmy Storm, but this time around it's 8/10 of a second. He's going to be nowhere near, so I think we could actually take a sigh of relief. We can actually breathe a little bit, and with 5 laps to go we can have a look at the penalties, I think, as well.
Well, we'll have a look there, but also Maze is getting very close to Stian Rambo, but I will run you through it. Crawler Damon, just the 1 warning, actually 2 warnings, my mistake. He is clean on that there. Stian Rambo has 1 penalty. Maze is completely clean, no warnings at all. Jimmy Storm has 1 penalty. Passels has a 5-second tip penalty and a 3-second corner cutting penalty. Sammy King has 1 3-second penalty. Bart has a 2 5-second penalties for speeding into the pit lane. Silas, oh my, Silas has 3 corner cutting penalties and a 5-second stop and go penalty that I assume has been served. Storm has a penalty and including a 5 seconds. Schmidtke has 1 penalty. Jack Roos is clean, just 1 warning. Tornheim has a 5-second penalty and for that I believe has been served. Actually, my mistake, yeah, it hasn't. But has also a one corner cutting penalty. Actually, that will explain Tornheim's pit stop, because he did actually go through the pit lane due to a drive-through, as Hulkenberg has a 5-second penalty, and Freakfront, last cut driver on track, has a 5-second that has been served, and also a drive-through that has been served. That's your rundown of the penalties here in Bahrain.
And Tornheim, you can add a 3-second time penalty for Tornheim as well, because he's just picked that up as well, coming through, I think, turn 13. Schmidtke now lining up NSR Storm for 9th position. We saw contact through the S section between these two. Are we going to see any more contact between these two? Schmidtke down the inside line. Storm leaves him room, outbreaks himself slightly, and Schmidtke shooting with the traction, gets him done around the outside, and that is how to clean the overtake. And Schmidtke is through, and he's up into 9th position and disposes of Storm as if he wasn't really there. Bart and Salas coming closer together as well. Maze is dropping off onto the back of Stee and Rambo. 1.1 seconds the gap. Salas has got a tremendous run. Could he try and go for the dummy through turn 8? No, he can't. Bart hangs on for 7th position. Salas in 8th, but Salas with that whole amount of penalties that he's got. Bart surely is in the better position than Salas had on track.
We'll see if Silas can try and get anything done on track anyway, disregarding the penalties. We'll see if he can try and get moved on and somehow clear out a gap in the final 3 laps of this race. But the Racing Point's running wide. I doubt it. We will see, of course. But that's your closest battle out on track at the moment. The rest of the field rather strung out, and I guess we're going to see how everything's going to unfold. Now, Sammy King is actually coming back towards Passels slightly. Passels has been struggling in these last few laps there. He looked really quick and was hounding the back of Jimmy Storm, but ultimately the Renault has just slipped back. Silas is getting a little bit closer to Bart, but Bart has much more ERS to use in defence there. I think that's Tornheim that's going off at the back of the field. And yeah, it's been a disastrous turn of events for Tornheim. Looked so strong earlier on in the race, but ultimately a drive-through and a number of mistakes has rendered the OWR driver out of contention, and will score surely very low points here tonight. But look at Silas again, coming at Bart now, may go for the inside now. Oh, it's turn 4, here we go now for 7th place out there. Silas and Racing Point gets stopped to the inside, they get very, very close. Silas struggles for traction on exit, and Bart will hang on to the place, just about seeing through. Jemetsky now getting onto the back of both these drivers as well. Silas has a little look to the inside, just hangs back, takes better of it. Shemetsky now in 9th, getting into the mix and chasing down the 2 drivers in front. Bart hanging on there in 7th, but now has 2 drivers hounding on. We'll see if he can make that one work, but Silas had a very poor run coming through 10, and immediately Shemetsky landing on the inside, heading for turn 11 there. It's been a furious comeback for the Williams, and now through on the inside line, on the comeback drive. Now those Silas does everything in his power to hang around the outside, adds the inside line for 12. They almost come together, but Smetsky round the outside, gets through, 8th place, takes big overtake from Smetsky, did everything he needed to do, got the move done, almost loses the car, coming out of turn 13, just about hangs it together, 2 laps to go. Now in Bahrain, who's going to win this battle now? Smetsky now on the attack again, potentially there. Bar has more ERS in his defence, but the DRS and the slipstream will be in the favour of the Williams. And now getting up to the rear of the Ferrari. Will the manoeuvre come yet there? There for turn 1 there. Looks to the inside, but it's incredibly late. Can he get it stopped to the inside there? Smetsky pushes him out wide, but Bart hangs on to it now into the turn 2. Cuts the inside, gets a penalty. That was DRS again for Smetsky, but I think he's too far away. Look, Silas now attacking the Williams. Looks to the inside, that's covered off. So round the outside is going to be Smetsky. Defends it well, covers it up and maintains 8th place. Bart somehow held that one round, but collects a penalty for his troubles, and surely the Williams is going to get through. So we will see 1.5 laps to go at Bahrain. What a race we'll be treated to. What a way to kick off this season, James.
Absolutely unbelievable stuff, and Bart and Schmidtke are trying to really desperately hang on in there. 0.3 of a second currently the gap, but Bart is hanging on in there. His defensive driving coming into play, and this is essentially his Project Cars 2 side, I think, coming into play as well. But Schmidtke now on the back. Is he going to try and get the move done down the straight? No. Tornheim is into the pit lane. He's going to be lapped, I think, as well. Schmidtke now to the inside line, coming through turn 12. No, I wouldn't have went for the move there, and he backs out. quite wisely. I think he doesn't want to get himself into unnecessary contact out on track. Crawler Damon, though, has started the final lap of the race, but here comes Schmitsky now to the inside line on Bart. Can he get the move done? Bart on the outside line, Schmitsky on the inside line. Schmitsky is trying to dive down the inside through 14 and 15. Bart runs wide, and now they're going to be side by side. We'll take this from Silas's perspective. And Bart, I think, has got DRS. Yes, he has. Schmitsky is still hanging on in there. Oh, they've banged wheels running down the straight. They don't want to do that too many times. And Bart now on the outside line of Schmitsky. We're still on board with Silas. And Schmitsky used them as a bit of a braking marker through turn 1, and Silas has got both of them, and Schmitsky and Bart, that was only going to end one way, I'm afraid, in contact. And unfortunately for Schmitsky and Bart, they come into contact. Bart is the one that has been spun round. He's going to be overtaken, I think, by Jack Roos possibly as well for P11, and disaster has behold the Ferrari team. Bart running in such a strong position in terms of the constructors as well, but now down into P10, and I'm sorry to say there's going to be, I think, a few words shown after that. Zappy King, by the way, has just made a mistake, I think, on the back of Parcells, who was, I thought, disappeared on my screen, but he hasn't. He's there around the outside on Parcells and gets the move done. Through P5, I was worried on board with Maze. That's why I got confused. Crawler Damon coming through the final corner then. It's been a dominant drive from Crawler Damon, and the Ferrari, the Tifosi team are going to be happy. Crawler Damon across the line to win in Division 5 here in Bahrain. Styrian Rambo now to the line in second. He's made those tyres last, but Sappy, King and Parcells are side by side, and we're going to have to run on board with Maze. Maze up to second, and look at this. Sappy, King and Parcells to the line. Are we going to get a photo finish? No! Sapmi King hangs on, and Passos have more penalties anyway. Schmitsky across the line in 7th. Good recovery drive considering the amount of contact he's been in. Storm across the line in 9th with a 5-second penalty, which I think he might hold on to. Bart in 10th with penalties. Jack Roos up to 8th with nothing, I believe. So Jack Roos up to 8th and nothing. Hulkenberg is to the line in 12th, and Freak Ronk, by the way, has spun coming through turn 12, and now he is going to be coming home in P13. As long as he gets that car home, he'll pick up the points. Hulkenberg across the line in P12, and Freak Ronk is going to have a bit of a time of things, I think, as he comes towards the line. And he is round the final 2 corners now in the Williams, doesn't care about track limits. And now to the line, Freak Ronk finishes in P13 out on track, and that was your Division 5 race in TTML for the Season 2 opener in Bahrain, and it beholds up a real good race. There might have been pretty unclean driving, if I've got to be honest. There's going to be words, I'm sure, from the admins. Silas gets awarded the driver of the day there as well, but there is the man of the moment, Crawler Damon, to the top step of the podium, and well, it was just a domination drive from him.
In the end, everything came into his played to his hands, but in the end, he did what he needed to do and won the race in very convincing fashion. Crawler Damon, what a performance that was. Heading to the top step of the podium. We're going to see now if that will hold out. I think I may be having some audio issues, so hopefully can stand by. But anyway, yeah, what a dominant drive from the Ferrari. He takes the win. Damon in the end, 2nd place on the road there. Strong drive from the Mercedes, 6th to 2nd. Steve Rambo, solid debut as well, you have to say. Could have maybe just eked it out. But one-stop strategy made that work very, very nicely. Jimmy Storm ends up in 4th place there. Was in the end up there the whole time. Sammy King recovers to 5th place. Zvetsky recovers to 6th after some incidents down there. Parcells comes through 7th there, gains 10 places in the race. Solid drive there. Jetros comes through in 8th place. They're gaining out the penalties. Silas and NSR Storm round out the top 10. Then outside the top 10, you had Bart, Hulkenberg, Freakbrug, and Tornheim that finished the race. They're outside of the top 10. And then, of course, the drivers that didn't see the checker flag, unfortunately, Jeffrey, Demiles, Invictus Serve the Blessed, and Nilsson were unable to quite complete the 29 laps, and they're going to hope for better fortunes next time out. That has been your first round of the season, and Crawler Damon, after it all, wins the race here at Bahrain.
Well, if we get anything like that in China next week, I think we're going to be out of breath and probably need a 3rd commentator in the commentary box. But Bahrain serves up an absolute treat. What we're going to do, hopefully, is to try and get in the top 3. Now, I know the system, the party system, is pretty poor, so I'm going to let, hopefully, my co-commentator do it.
Okay, I'll see what I can do for you there, James. Let's get to work. Okay.
Oh, but goodness me, we are still, of course, live, and I'm sure they'll be able to hear you though, Dan. And Dan, absolutely unbelievable race there out on track. We go to China next week, which is going to be a whole different kettle of fish, I think, in terms of the track nature. How do these guys prepare for a race like that?
Well, China is a track where it's one thing that's going to be watching out for is that these soft tyres, I know, are very, very poor. So that's what the drivers are going to have to be looking out for. Expect probably quite a large amount of drivers to be opting for the mediums in quali, or at least if they're outside the top 10, going to be starting on the mediums or the hards. It is, like Bahrain, very high deg, of course, but the track layout is rather different. You're going to be seeing a lot of just a much different challenge, I'd say, for the drivers ahead of us. We'll see how it all unfolds there. But yeah, China, not my favourite track. It's not my cup of tea, but looking forward to seeing how the racing all unfolds there. Usually, it is a good one.
It is a good one, and Division 4 has just ended out on track. Literally, as we come towards the end of the stream here, Division 4 has just ended. If you want to go and watch the results, you can do. I'm not going to ruin it for anybody that hasn't tuned in that race. But all I can say is there was a spinner on the final lap of the race, and that was Zam, who spun on the final lap of the race from a promising position. But that is it for tonight, and hopefully we'll get the 3 drivers in question into the party. Now, I think I know that Maze doesn't actually have a mic, so he might not be able to join, but hopefully we'll get at least somebody in for an interview, and we'll wait a couple of minutes for them to do so. Overall, though, in that race, with 3 safety cars out on track, who on earth was your driver of the day?
Oh, you can't do this to me, James.
I can.
You can and you will, I guess. That is, very, very difficult call. There are a lot of drivers that stand out. Obviously, you have to take into consideration Crawler Damon, but there was an element of fortune in the anyway, who knows? We'll see.
Oh.
But what's going on, James?
I'll stop you there because you are cutting out on my end.
Oh, my apologies.
Go on, what were we saying?
Yeah, I think I'm going to... I guess it is the boring option, but I'll say Crawler Damon, just because of the sheer pace of the second half of the race. I was blown away by how quickly he was on the softs in the second stint. Made it work. But there's certainly some honourable mentions out there. Obviously, Maze. Sammy King drove very solidly, and of course a number of others as well. Some of the new drivers is actually impressing very much as well. Great opening race though, but yeah, that's my option for driver of the day. You have anyone else in mind?
Crawler Damon driver of the day. I think Maze as well from a good recovery drive. He got spun in that. With that right side end plate damage. Remember earlier on in the race, and recovered from a very unpromising position. I think he was down in like 11th or 12th or somewhere like that. And Maze really attributed himself well into the race. He was catching towards the end as well. Finishing in second in the end, I think he gets my driver of the day vote. Crawler Damon, though, hats off to him. He also gets a driver of the day vote from me as well. So I guess I have 2, Maze and Crawler Damon, which is not the first 2 out on track at all. So, yeah, me being my boring self.
And also definitely not a cop-out answer in the slightest from you, James.
I might be taking the easy option out. You never know. Yeah. There we are.
By the way, I have invited all 3 drivers to the group, but I'm not. None of them have actually joined the party as of yet. I was just waiting for someone to actually join and completely curse me. But yeah, I'm not sure if any of them are going to be present for us. Unfortunately, we'll see, of course.
We were just about to end last night in Division 2 and we had Scuderia Seb suddenly pop up out of absolutely nowhere for an interview, so you never know. But I think, all intents and purposes, I don't think we're going to get anybody in to join the party, which is a shame, but we will end the stream here. Division 4 has also just ended there as well, but Division 5 rolls on. The bandwagon rolls on as well to next week. And the first action you will see next week is, of course, CWC on a Monday. That is at 8 PM, I do believe, with Malk taking you through that one. Tuesday night, we're back at it, myself and Kieran McGinley, around China. The first race of a series of 5 races from China there. Of course, we've got the Sprint League as well on Wednesdays, and that is going to be Aidan Carter and Luke Etheridge taking you through that one on Wednesdays. Thursdays, Division 2 and 3. They seem to not get rid of me. I'm your head commentator for a reason. I do 3 shifts during the week. Division 2, I'll be there as well, alongside either Bryn Mike, who's going to be there alongside me. Division 3 is Aidan and Conti going to be taking you through that one. And then we're back at it again next week in Division 4 and 5. Graham Chaplin Callboy taking through Division 4 and Division 5, of course, myself and Dan, who are going to be taking you through next week's action from China. And the bandwagon rolls on, of course, throughout the season as well. And on the final point from me, I know how difficult it is getting currently within the restrictions of coronavirus, but we hope to be bringing you that little bit of shining light on your weeknights here on League Racing TV. I think it is that's important now, I think, where we have to stress what we do is our passion. What we do is to try and give you guys a little bit of entertainment. And from myself and from the commentary team, we want to do that for you this season. So if you've had the worst day ever, tune in to League Racing TV at any point during next week, and honestly, you will see possibly some of the greatest racing in League Racing. That is how far I'm going to say, but I know how difficult it's getting. We're on the brink of Tier 3 up here in the northeast as well. But just stay in there, stick in there, and of course, if anybody does feel like they are struggling, of course, my Twitter is always open. I'm sure Dan's Twitter as well will always be open, and we are always open. And unlike most of the economy, we're going to be running full steam ahead in business for the next 10 weeks on the channel. But on that note, we will end the stream here. Thank you so much for watching here in Division 5. I've been James Head. He's been Daniel Hoggard.
David Coulthard.
David Coulthard, the Scottish version of David Coulthard. Well, actually, no, they're both Scottish, so the younger version of David Coulthard is what I was going to say. But we will see you once again next week for the Chinese Grand Prix. So, for myself and Dan, goodbye.